Okay, welcome to the Tennessee High School Press Association 2020. I know the presentation here says 2018, and don't you wish it was 2018 again when we could all get out and see each other and stuff, but I know the conference looks very different this year. But I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you have chosen to come to this presentation. This is called Finding Water During Your Writing Drought, and this is talking about how to deal with a severe case of writer's block. My name is Taffy. I am a writer. I have 2 published novels, and I have several short stories and poems that have been published in several literary journals, both academic and professional. And in fact, I have a short story that's coming out later this month in a journal called Leaping Clear. So yeah, let's just hop right into it and start talking about writer's block and how to deal with it. So writer's block is kind of like camping out, right? You're kind of away from all your regular resources that you have, and you just feel sort of lost and in the middle of nowhere, and things aren't really working out the way that you felt like they would. So a lot of times people, they don't want writer's block, right? I don't know if anybody wants writer's block. So, but there are reasons why you get stuck in writer's block. And the first reason is the fear that my ideas aren't good enough, or my skills aren't good enough. I'm not a good writer. And a lot of people just kind of stop writing because they have these feelings. But the truth is, you just need to write anyway. Maureen Johnson is a young adult writer who has a great quote about, let's say that you picked up a violin from a thrift store. You wouldn't just go to your family and say, listen to me play, and then you, no, it'd be awful, right? So failure is totally fine. In the field of writing, it's okay to not be good, especially when you're young like you guys are. You guys are young, new, beginning writers. No one's gonna expect that you're gonna write a New York best-selling novel right now, you know? So you can't be waiting for your skills to get better before you write. You just gotta write through it. Just improve through your practice. So another reason why people have writer's block is because of a lack of passion. They're not excited about their story anymore. So some ways that you can fight this, you can give yourself more input, like more inspirational input, more research, more learning about the subject that you're writing on. You can brainstorm with other people, or you could ultimately just change stories and work on something else. Put the one that you're stuck on the back burner, write something else instead. Another thing is lack of observation. A lot of people ask writers like me, you know, where do you get your ideas from? To which I say, everywhere. you just have to look. You see people and situations and stories all around you. And so if you feel like there's nothing to write about, you're just not looking. So you need to observe, you need to spy on the life around you, and then make sure you have a journal or a note on your phone or something where you can write down what you see. Because later when you want to write, you want to have that collection of ideas right there in front of you. Okay, and another thing is lack of discipline, which is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. But a lot of writers, you know, they feel like they need to have some sort of special muse or some inspiration just strike them, and then they'll be able to flow with all the ideas. And no, it doesn't work that way. You have to work through it. It takes work to write. So there's certain discipline that you can do to help yourself fight through writer's block. So for me, the reason why I'm giving this presentation is because I really had a strong bout with writer's block for about 5 years, and it was really tough. I started graduate school in 2012, and I stopped all creative writing because my research, my thesis, my academic work was really taking up all of my time. And I was busy with other things. I had a job and all this kind of stuff then too. And it got to the point where I didn't feel like a writer anymore. I didn't tell people I was a writer because I hadn't written anything for years. And I really felt like a piece of myself was missing, and that a very important part of my life was gone. And it was really hard. And so if you have ever felt this way, I'm sorry. You know, I know how it feels. And when writing is such a big part of your life and then it's suddenly gone, it can feel really, really empty. So I'm here to help you talk about ways that helped me, and I hope will help you to get that part of your life back. So let's help you find your oasis. So I tried a few things, and I wanted to let you all know. There's NaNoWriMo, which is for National Novel Writing Month, which is coming up. It's November. November is National Novel Writing Month. So this organization, NaNoWriMo, helps to encourage you to write a novel-length piece in a month. It's pretty cool. I tried some big projects. I tried taking some classes. I tried some creative research. And these things did help, but they only helped temporarily. And I felt like they helped me push through for a little bit, but I still just felt like it was not a part of my life anymore. So one thing that I noticed that was important was the balance between input and output. So I was often watching movies and reading books and things that I thought would inspire me to write. And inspiration is great, but don't let it substitute for production. Balance of input and output is important every day. So I started to tell myself, you know, for every bit of input that I'm getting, every piece of music, every movie, every book, everything that I'm learning and watching that is inspirational input, I need to balance with output too. This is from Stephen King's book On Writing, which is an excellent book on writing. And so I have this quote here. If you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all others. Read a lot and write a lot. There's no way around these two things that I'm aware of. There's no shortcut. So for me, it's so funny because when I was younger, I was writing a lot and not reading a lot. But then as I've gotten older, I read a lot and I don't write a lot. So you have to have that balance. Okay, so another psychological thing that you can do, this kind of goes into discipline, is to set a writing place and a writing time. So figure out the time of day that your brain works the best. For me, it's late at night. For my mom, for example, who's a writer and an editor, she is an early morning person. She likes to wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning. I don't know how she does it. I would be writing zombie works and not like The Walking Dead, but like actually writing like a zombie. I would not be good. So for me, I prefer to write after everybody else has gone to sleep and I feel like I'm the only person on the planet. It's just me and my thoughts. That's when I feel like I write the best. So for you, you will figure out that time of day. So again, On Writing has a great section that's all about setting a space specifically for writing. I'm not going to read it because it's like 2 pages long, but I would encourage you to read that. And Stephen King, I can summarize some of it for you. He mentions the importance of closing a door, having a space that has a closing door so that you can literally close yourself off from the rest of the world and focus on the world that you are creating. And I think that that's really important. All about ruling out distractions, which I think that's a huge problem in the world right now for young writers. You know, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your phone, do anything that you can to rule out distractions and just create an inspiring space for writing. Then give yourself a goal, an hour, 1,000 words, 5 pages, something like that. For me right now in the season of life that I'm in, I try to write 15 minutes a day. And like I say here, even if it's trash and you delete it later, you did it. That was time that you spent producing something that day. So I wanted to also read a bit from Ray Bradbury's Zen and the Art of Writing. There's a section here that he talks some about this, and it's just a paragraph long, so I wanted to take a minute to read it. Here you go. I'm accustomed, you see, to getting up every morning, running to the typewriter, and in an hour I've created a world. I don't have to wait for anyone. I don't have to criticize anyone. It's done. All I need is an hour, and I'm ahead of everyone. The rest of the day, I can goof off. I've already done 1,000 words this morning, so if I want to have a 2 or 3 hour lunch, I can have it, because I've already beat everyone. So it's an interesting perspective. Maybe that's why my mom likes to write in the morning, because then she has it done in the morning. She can spend the rest of the day goofing off. I'm pretty sure that's not true. But, you know, it's kind of, for him, it's an hour. He has an hour to write, and he's written an amount of stuff that he's proud of, and he feels like, you know, I've done it that day. It's over. I can check it off my list. So if you can give yourself a tangible goal where you work specifically within that goal, then you'll know that you've done it. It's done. And even if you delete it later, you did it. So there are also some prompts that can help to inspire your writing. So Submishmash Weekly is one, and I've got a link to that in a minute. Hit record, meetup, writing groups and accountability partners, interviews, and pictures. So these are all prompts that, to me, I find very inspiring. So let's look at each one of these for a minute. I'm not going to be able to show you each of these in length, but I'll tell you, this Prezi is going to be available for you to look at, and I would really encourage you to go back and find these links and things to watch. So this first one is Submishmash Weekly. This is part of Submittable, which is what most how would you say, journals and publications, this is how most of them function now, is through Submittable, where you submit your work through the Submittable app, I guess is what you would call it. So there's this link here. I'm going to have to exit out of my presentation a minute to show you. Submishmash Weekly is a newsletter that comes out every week. And it shows you different, it's amazing how it's weekly, and it gives you some news in journalism and publishing. But then here you'll see it has some opportunities. And you look at all of these. How many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 opportunities related to writing that are available just this week. And so there's going to be something in here that you can write for. So I look forward to getting the Submishmash Weekly newsletter every week, and I make a point to look through. Now, some of these I will say, some of them have fees that you may not be willing to pay. Some of them have very specific requirements. So like, for example, they're looking for writers from the Houston area, and like that doesn't apply to me. They're looking for writers who have an Indonesian background. That doesn't apply to me. But I will say there are a lot of things here that I've seen that are from young writers, first-time writers, writers under 20, you know. So especially for you guys attending THSPA, there are going to be a lot of opportunities here for you. So if you go to Submittable and you set up an account with Submittable, you can choose to sign up for the newsletter. I would really highly recommend for anybody struggling with writer's block to go to this, because, I mean, 20 opportunities just this week for places where you can actually publish and get paid or get a reward for your work. That's huge. That's huge. So that's one thing, is Submishmash Weekly. I'm going to make this full screen again. So the next thing here is Hit Record. So we're not going to watch this video, but I'll go ahead and give you a summary for what Hit Record is. Hit Record is a production company that is founded by Joseph Gordon-Levitt and his brother. So you probably recognize him. He's an actor, musician. And it's pretty much a huge collaborative creative space. So I love Hit Record because it's totally free. They have a mobile app and they have a website that you can use. And if you do anything creative, art, music, writing, photography, even things like directing, editing, curating, there's stuff for you to do on Hit Record. And they produce stuff. They publish things. They actually just recently won an Emmy for a television series that they worked on together, all about creating at home during COVID. And like, I participated in that. None of my stuff got in the production, but anytime you get anything that is in any of their productions, they compensate you for that work. And I just think that's really cool. It's so amazing to me how this website, this platform is all about collaboration and sharing and working together. It's not about competition. It's not about being good or being perfect. It's about working through stuff together. And I just think that's really cool. So I really like Hit Record, and they've really helped me through different bouts of writer's block. Now the next one is Meetup, which honestly right now is pretty dead because of COVID. But the Nashville Writers Meetup, for example, this is just a group of people who like to write in Nashville, and they get together sometimes and talk about what they're doing. It's pretty great. So then you can also just have a writing group or an accountability buddy. This is Abby. She is a great poet and songwriter. She and I are both new moms. We went to school together. She's also a really talented musician. She's just a great person. And she and I reached out to each other in 2018, I guess it was, because we both felt like we wanted to kind of reconnect with our writing. And so we started meeting monthly to look over each other's work and to, you know, give each other constructive criticism or to ask questions of each other and that kind of thing. So having someone in your life like Abby is really helpful. Someone that you trust, someone that you feel like you can be open with, to share your work with. That's a great thing. So another thing is just interviewing people. And StoryCorps, man, StoryCorps has given me a ton of inspiration. Again, you can watch this video on your own later, but StoryCorps has a podcast. They are on NPR. They have a YouTube channel. And they're just all about collecting interviews. And every single thing I see from StoryCorps is just so fascinating, because you quickly learn through things like StoryCorps that everybody has a story. Everybody has something interesting to share. And so even if you, I mean, StoryCorps itself is a great place for inspiration, but you can also just interview people you know and find inspiration from that. Then this too is a great video from Ransom Riggs, who is another young adult author. And this is a video on his YouTube channel where he talks about how he garners inspiration from looking at old photos of strangers that he gets from like yard sales and garage sales and things like that, flea markets. And I find this video very inspirational, but also I've started doing this too. I look at images and I get a lot of inspiration from different images. So, you know, next time you see an antique store or something like that, go see if you can find bins of old photos and write a story from a photo. So these are all different places. Whoops, let me go back to that. These are all different places where you can get writing prompts and inspiration. And these are things that have helped me out a lot. In times when I feel like I want to write, but I don't have anything to write about specifically, I go to one of these things. Usually between some mishmash and hit record, I'm taken care of. But, you know, any of these things, I get a lot of inspiration from all these things. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so an important thing that you need to know in writing is that rejection will happen. A lot of people I know, or a lot of young writers, especially new writers that I know, they get rejected and then they quit. So I want to share with you something. I have this link open already. So I mentioned Submittable, and I mentioned that this is how most people submit nowadays. So since about 2018, yes, I have been submitting different poems and short stories to different journals. And you'll see down here, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, it's probably pretty small, but down here it says 52 results. So these are all of the things that I have ever submitted to any literary journal since January 2018. And now, notably, I had a baby, so around 2019, not a lot happened in 2019. You'll notice that. In fact, nothing happened in 2019. But there are 52 pieces of writing that I submitted in 2018 and 2020. Now, I want you to see, if you look over here on the left, there's different colors that represent different statuses of the pieces that I submitted. So green is accepted. So you see one here is accepted. And you see, look at all these declines. Decline, 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 decline. And you'll notice here, this one says it's accepted, but even this one, this was for a poetry contest. So I was accepted into the contest, but I did not win anything in the contest. So even though it says it was accepted, pretty much was also rejected. Then I've got some of these that are in progress, which are still being considered, received, declined, 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 withdrawn, and then accepted. So out of 52 pieces, out of 52, I have 2, count them, 2 that were accepted. And it's just a fact of the business. Like, you get a tough skin when you're a writer, because rejection happens. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It means that it didn't work for that publication. That's a really important thing for young writers to know. You're going to get rejected. You move on. And that's kind of the next point here. When you're rejected, you have a choice. You have a decision. You can either do like I know so many people have done and just quit and mope and be like, well, I must not be good enough. These people who published this, they saw my stuff. They decided there are better people out there. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. And honestly, that's kind of what happened to me when I had writer's block around 2011. I had a lot of stuff happen, and I started second-guessing myself as a writer, and I thought maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. So you can either quit and say, that's it, I'm done with writing, no more, or you can write anyway. You can write anyway, and you can choose to learn from your mistakes and just pick yourself back up and keep going. So the thing about writing is knowing that writing does take discipline. You have to make your way to the oasis, and then you have to keep drinking from it. So I hope that here I've shown you some different ways to overcome really deep writer's block, and I hope that you continue to drink from it. You know, there's gonna be times when you don't feel like writing, when you feel like you're not good enough, when you feel like there's no ideas out there. And so I hope that you have found in this presentation different ways that show you that you should keep writing anyway. You have to find that oasis and then keep drinking from it. Okay, so thank you all so much for listening. Again, I know this conference this year is very different, and I really thank you for listening to this presentation. And like I said, the Prezi will be available, and I really, really, really strongly encourage you all to go back and look at some of those videos. And also, if you have the chance, you need to go buy Stephen King's On Writing and Ray Bradbury's Zen and the Art of Writing. You will not regret it. All right, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day, and happy writing.